Welcome to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast, powered by LPT Realty, Real Estate Reimagined, with your host, the one and only Betsy Tinnervin. On this podcast, we bring you people who share their personal journeys in life, business, and of course, real estate. Get motivated, inspired, and priceless information from entrepreneurs, community leaders, and realtors who are thriving. Now let's get raw and real. Here's Betsy.
Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your host today, and actually every show. I'm Betsy Tinnervin with LPT Realty and the Tampa Bay Investments team. We are so excited to be back in the studio. Obviously, we had a short break due to Christmas. Our last show, What Christmas Means to Me, was pretty fabulous. We want to thank LPT Realty and Robert Palmer for making this show possible. Robert definitely loves to highlight all of our LPT agents, as well as bring in members from the community, as we want to be a catalyst and a connector and just motivate and inspire people. On our show, we obviously always talk about the raw and real of life, business, and real estate. Today, I'm super excited. Obviously, I'm slightly biased because we have the Midwest Fire in the studio today. We have every single human, including myself, are all from Illinois. I actually just got goosebumps. It's crazy how it works out with people and just how we bring everyone together and make a fire show. I have the infamous Lori Kane in the studio today. How are you, Lori?
Doing great. How are you today?
I am amazing. I know that we actually met at a training class at Embrace Home Loans.
Yes, we did.
And the first thing you came up to me and said was, did you say that you're from Bloomington, Illinois?
I did, because my family is not too far from there. Both my parents and relatives all came out of Streeter, Illinois.
And just for all the listeners out there in Tampa Bay that don't know where we're from, but Streeter, Illinois is like a little tiny dot on the map of Illinois. And so when you meet someone that actually knows even where Streeter, Illinois is, they become a special person in your Rolodex.
That's very true. Yeah, it's just a small mining town, and I've got some deep roots there.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that we connected. You are a great realtor, and I can't wait to tell all of our infamous listeners kind of your story and where you came from. I have another firecracker in the room, and it's funny because when I met her in Orlando, we were at a mastermind. We had never met before. She had kind of just joined LPT, but I have Amina Stevens in the house today. What's going on, Amina?
I am super excited to be here and hang out with you again.
I thought that you just were a bright light in Orlando. I really appreciated how you vibed with everyone in the green room, all the things you had to share. And also, I hear that you're from the Chi-Town.
I am. I was born in Chicago. My entire family's from Chicago. Moved here pretty young, but I love to go there when it's warm.
And I heard that you just had an infamous adventure when it was cold.
I did. So I went there a few weeks ago, and let's just say I'm going to go back this summer.
It's funny because I brought all these clothes when I moved to Florida in 2015, and the only time I bust out the scarves and the hats and the gloves and the North Faces is when I go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I want to talk a little bit, Amina, to you just about a couple things. Is one, I think you have a phenomenal personality.
Wow, thank you.
And even talking to you on the phone, I love the conversation that happens behind the scenes. And as we expose all the raw and realness, the first question Amina had about the show was, is there video or like, what do I have to do with my hair?
Yeah, I need to know. I got to look good. You know, you got to bring out the Beyonce, or can I come looking dressed down?
I heard that you in the real estate world are the Beyonce.
I like to call myself the Beyonce of real estate. So incredible experience, just like Beyonce's concerts.
I love that. And I think, too, it's really cool. You're kind of doing this whole thing with Boss Babes. You want to talk a little bit about that?
It's actually Boss Up. So I have a downline within LPT Realty of agents that, are looking to level up their real estate careers. So I like to inspire everyone to be a boss because, a boss is a little bit different than just, a worker, an employee. It really challenges you to, level up and do what's going to take your career to the next level.
I love the word boss. I love the word entrepreneur. I think real estate agents get it very twisted. Yeah. That when they start their career, they are actually a business owner. So kind of define what you mean by boss, why you're calling it Boss Up, and what your goals for Boss Up in 2023 are.
Okay, so I think the best way to explain why I named my group Boss Up is because I feel like a lot of times newer agents feel like they need permission to be, the best, agent out that they can be. So a lot of times they feel like, hey, I'm not an agent with all this production, or I don't have all this experience, and they kind of shrink. And I felt like when you think about what personifies a boss, it's someone that, just makes all the rules, calls all the plays, and no one's like, hey, you know what? I wonder whether or not they are allowed to tell me that. Like, I'm the boss, I'm going to do boss things, right?
Yeah.
So as an agent, I really think that's important to kind of take control of your career and decide that you're going to show up and you're going to show out. And it doesn't matter who you're offending, or who who doesn't want, a little new agent to, go out and get all the business. You really just have to think that the career and the industry is your oyster.
And I also think too, what's important is just like letting people be their authentic self. I think that I'm going to turn to you, Miss Lori, and let's talk about just how you got into real estate and how you're kind of authentic in what you do in the real estate field.
A great friend of mine, Brenda, got me into real estate. She was one of my realtors while I was buying some investment properties. I previously had done 28 years in law enforcement, working for Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and University of South Florida. So when I quit from that, I took a few years off and started building a portfolio of rental properties for additional income. Brenda was helping me as my realtor, and she said, why don't you just get your own license? So went to school, got my license on my first test try, which is a huge feat here in Florida, and never looked back. Been loving it.
Lori's a secret boss, man, because when you start talking about she's working for the sheriff's department for 20 years, I'm glad that I left my past history alone and I'm on the right path now. Yeah, I love that, Lori. I think it's really great when you see longevity in a career. I also think it's really great when you see change in a career. So just kind of explain how you take your past of working in law enforcement and how you apply that as a strength currently now in real estate.
I always looked at law enforcement as a way to be helping and serving people, getting them through a trouble that was going on or something that they needed. And I look at real estate the same way. I'm here to serve buyers and sellers, work with them, get them where they need to go, especially first-time home buyers. They're new to the whole system. They need everything explained. I love being able to kind of be a teacher for them and tell them, here's how it all works. Here's what your realtor is going to do for you. Here's what your lender is going to do for you. Here's what your home inspector is going to do. And I like being able to also work with the sellers and getting them their houses more top-notch, because we live in our houses every day and we don't see what we've accumulated, and having a new set of eyes come in and say, okay, we need to put this or this or this away. It's helping to serve them again by getting them with their house, getting it the best it can be so they can get their top money for it.
I think it's appropriate to apply your past to your present. And I think that that's really kind of the flow of what like Boss Up is doing as well. And just kind of mentoring these agents, because Amina, I heard through the grapevine that you were a teacher.
I was. So I was a high school English teacher, and I primarily taught 10th and 12th, but I did teach 8th grade as well. So I definitely took that educational approach when I got into real estate, particularly as she mentioned, a lot of people are uneducated on the home buying and selling process. Even if they've done it 1, 2, or 3 times, there's so many nuances that are hard to understand. And I think it's important kind of for me to have taken the approach that, hey, I'm going to bring my full self into real estate. That's kind of where the Boss Up idea came, because I learned so much because I didn't understand the boundaries of like, hey, don't learn anything about lending. Don't learn anything about title. Like, stay in your lane. Like, that didn't make sense to me. I came in from a educational perspective and said, I want to soak up all the knowledge that I can so that I can better serve, my clients and empower myself to do this job to the best of my ability.
Well, what I love about teachers, and I think that, you can probably agree, back when like we were in school, we had to like do things. We had to like do Roman numeral papers and all of those things. And we had to like present and prepare. It's kind of sad now, just like, hey, Siri, hey, Google, it's instant gratification. What I love about what you're doing is you're really giving people like the roadmap to success. I want all the listeners out there to know if they want to contact Miss Lori Kane, tell them your number, Lori, and how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, most definitely. My phone number is 813-695-0600. 7766. I look forward to hearing from you.
And if you are a new agent just entering the real estate world in Tampa Bay and you're looking to join a team and boss up Amina Stevens, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can find me at Homes by Amina on all platforms. And my phone number is 813-401-0460.
All of our listeners out there, you are not going to want to miss segments 2, 3, and 4. As when we come back, we're going to talk about how these two really made a career shift. We're going to give you information on just maybe what you need to pivot into 2023. We're going to talk about some goals. We're going to talk about some processes. And of course, we're going to do all things real estate. We have two phenomenal realtors in the studio today that are thriving even in a tough market. So we're going to talk to all you buyers, sellers, and investors out there that maybe have a couple questions, but also anyone thinking about making a shift into a real estate career. We're going to pay some bills and we will catch you after the break.
The best comp plans ever in stock and revenue share, but if we're not closing real estate transactions, all of that is worthless, because ultimately everything starts with a real estate transaction, which starts with a consumer. And so we wanted to arm our agents with the absolute best technology and best marketing tools to do more real estate. And that's, again, I think a big differentiator. I think very few brokerages really sit down and say, how do we provide tools to make sure that our agents can be more productive, sell more real estate, win more listings, win at more listing appointments, help more buyers find that home. And we're very focused on that. And so while we have the best comp plans and the best ways for agents to generate wealth and earn, we also have the best tools, and more importantly, I would say have the best tools to help you be successful in real estate.
Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your host, Betsy Tinervin. We hope that this weekend you are driving around in your car, listening to us, just chit chat about life, business, and real estate. Today, it's not really a chit chat. It is a fire conversation where we are going to drop serious gems, because we have Lori Kane and Amina Stevens, two amazing LPT realtors in the studio today. I always tell everyone, like, be careful what you say on the break, because I'm definitely going to run that back live on air. So on the break, Amina is a little disappointed in me because she has found out I am an Android user.
Yeah, I can't believe I had to find out like this. Betsy happens to have on some really cool shoes, and I felt a bit upstaged, but she's definitely brought herself back down to earth. You know, we might be able to compete because you have an Android, and that is just, you know, it's a little bit odd.
So my burner phone is an iPhone.
I do service, you know, Android and iPhone clients, of course. You know.
So I do have the iPhone, okay, right? But it's just like really confusing. And actually, if you really want to know the truth, I'm definitely going to give a shout out to my guy, Robert Palmer. I got the iPhone because Robert would not respond to my text messages because I was green.
I love that. You know what?
And so I literally, Tracy and Robert, I hope they listen to this show, because I literally, like Tracy said, dude, you have to get an iPhone.
You
like,
absolutely have to.
Robert can't do the green. He's like so structured and so just into his systems. And obviously he's such a great businessman. He's like, Betsy, like when you text me, it gives me like an issue.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So I had to go to Verizon.
I forgot in highs.
Yeah, I had to go to Verizon and get an iPhone.
And then,
you know what,
and
then
this is the best thing I've ever heard about LPC.
No, listen.
Forget all the rest of the great things you're going to get from joining. Like, you have to be an iPhone user. No, you don't.
To speak to Robert Palmer. No, listen, but here's the best part though. So the iPhone gives me anxiety because I feel like if I don't have the iPhone near me, like, and Robert does message me or call, like, oh my God, it's been 4 hours and I didn't respond.
Betsy, so this is why you just need to go ahead and transition over to iPhone.
I'm trying.
And, you know, come into our universe. You know?
Absolutely.
I think that we should
It's a new year, okay?
No, Amina, we can help each other. I can help you and you can help me.
We can't, you know, it's 2023.
It is like, it seriously is difficult for me though. But to everyone out there that is a Droid user, high five, stay in your lane, stay your course, rock your cool shoes. However, I do think there are some great things with Android. And since we're on this topic, I do want to kind of talk about technology and what we're doing in 2023 within our businesses, because I think that that's really important. And I know we were going to talk about transitioning into our career, but Lori, I kind of want to start with you just about the whole what your plan is in 2023 for tech, for media, how you're utilizing LPT within your real estate business.
Yeah, I was actually just on a program this morning talking with a person to help with branding and with marketing to show me some ins and outs. I'm an old soul. I still haven't picked up on all the things that social media can do to help me. So I need someone to help me figure all that out, how it's going to work, how I can put it towards my business, grow my business, and especially be able to communicate better with the younger people instead of just always hello, this is Lori calling you on your phone, because too many people don't want to talk anymore. They want to do things through social media somehow, and that's where I need to go to.
100%. Amina, rapid fire question. Why do you feel as an agent, as a team lead, you help your team members get branded, etc.? Why do you feel like having a brand is so important in real estate today?
Wow, that's a great question. I think a brand is an identity, and it's more importantly a feeling. And I think that when clients, come to use your services, you want to be very intentional about the feeling that you want your clients to have. So I think as you're developing your brand identity, you then can develop an amazing client experience the whole way through. So it can start with a logo, a color scheme that maybe makes them feel relaxed. Mine are like teal and white, and I feel like they complement Florida well. And then just throughout, your branding is, hey, I have this amazing marketing material that you're going to get throughout the process. Or I have like little videos that I send my clients throughout the process, or email templates that are all branded. And I think when you're working with someone, especially a first-time buyer or a first-time seller, or they haven't done it in a while, it's nice to feel like you're in good hands. And I think when someone has a really well-established brand, it's obvious that there's been some thought, there's some intention behind that, and they got you covered. So I think that a brand just, signifies, there's thought, there's intention, and I'm going to be okay.
I think what's really cool about our industry too is, like we were also talking before the break, just about who we are in our industry. And, it's funny that you mentioned my shoes, Amina, because honestly, one of the reasons why I don't dress in heels and slacks or a dress is because I go from a construction project into a listing appointment into a training, and there's not a whole wardrobe closet in the back of my car. So I try to, again, have some type of presentability, if that's a word. However, I have to be versatile in what I do. So I think that when you build a brand, for anybody out there listening with business or real estate, you can apply what Amina just gave you as a huge nugget drop. You need to create your authentic brand to show who you are, but then be able to relate to your customer base. So Lori, what are your kind of niche focused customers? I know you really honed in on how you started with investments. What is your favorite type of client to work with, and why?
It's actually a first-time home buyer. I love being able to work with them, to educate them on what's going on all the process. But when they can finally go and they sign those papers at closing, they get the new key in their hand and the house is theirs. It's just that look of satisfaction, of surprise, of contentment that comes on their face. It's like the kid at Christmas opening up their favorite gift. I love to see that, and I love to be a part of that.
What is so awesome for me when we do this show is the relatability of people, because we have two people from Illinois, and Amina, you also do a really great job with first-time homebuyers. And I saw a little post.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I do stalk everyone. The show is real. I really do try to look at you guys and look at your pages, and I did that a little bit yesterday. So Amina, I saw this whole webinar thing that you're going to do with the first-time homebuyers, some type of class. Tell me about it.
Okay, so there's a lot going on. Okay, let's just break this down. So I do work a lot with first-time home buyers. Earlier this year, you might have seen that I had some pilots come out for a pilot show I'm working on about following me working with first-time home buyers. So it's called First Timers Club, and it aired earlier this year on HGTV. But in terms of an academy that I am releasing, it's called Agent Scholar Academy. So it's about educating realtors, honestly, on how to be a boss. So it's not really about just the fundamentals of real estate. It's about the areas that I excel in. So the things that I feel like I've become a scholar at, like portfolio loan products. I've become a scholar at educational home buyer events, which is probably what you saw. So I'm going to teach people how to take buyers on these, like I did a home buyer field trip where I took people, put them on a bus, took them around the city, educated them on different neighborhoods, different types of properties, from condos to new construction to fixer-uppers. So basically educating agents, and through the agents, they can then turn around and educate their clients. So I know the question you just asked her was, what's her favorite type of client? I do work a lot with first-time home buyers, but I do, as many realtors do, work with a breadth, a lot of clients. But I would say that my favorite kind of client is one where I have to employ some kind of strategy to make them be successful. I play board games for fun. That's my hobby. I'm a board game geek, like beyond Monopoly. Like,
so we could play chess?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So I don't play chess. My family does. Okay. Ooh. I know, don't tell anybody. Okay. But beyond that, I have like a lot of just niche games that, that I play. But I, for fun, strategize. Like I spend my days wanting to like play a game and figure out how to solve a complex problem. So when someone comes to me and says, hey, I want to buy and sell at the same time, or hey, I might be going to foreclosure, or hey, I have very little money to get into a home, or hey, I have great credit, but I don't have a lot of money, or a lot of money, but I don't have great credit. Like I want to be able to say, okay, this is what we're going to do, develop this plan and find like a strategic way to make everything happen for you. And that's my favorite kind of client, where I have to be a little bit cerebral.
I think it's fun to be a deal maker and be a strategist. And definitely when we come back, listeners, I'm going to have Lori talk a little bit about buying investment properties, because again, I think just like Amina said, with her teacher background and where she comes from and the process and all of that helps her be strong, especially when working with people that maybe need that process as like a first-time home buyer, getting their credit right, understand the buy-in process, and even like she mentioned in the beginning, understanding all of those fields and teaching her agents about it. I also think, Lori, what's really exciting about working with an agent that has done like some investment things and purchased them themselves is you've been through that process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
and I can point out a lot.
Yeah. So it's like you have hands-on learning from both of you guys. Lori, if somebody wants to contact you, how would they get in touch with you?
Oh, yeah. My phone number, it's 813-695-7766. Or you can visit my webpage at timeyoumove.today.
And Miss Amina Stevens, give them a way to contact you.
Yeah, so you can follow me on all platforms, Homes by Amina. You can also reach out to me via my cell phone, 813-401-0460.
You are not going to want to miss segment 3 with these two, Miss Lori Kane and Amina Stevens with LPT Realty. We are talking all things life, business, and of course, real estate. We are going to go ahead and take a commercial break, but when we return, we're going to give you more information on how they made their shift into real estate. Also, we're going to continue to talk just about strategy and brand and what's to come in 2023 for buyers, sellers, and investors and agents wanting to get into the industry. As always, pop in those earbuds, download the iHeartRadio app, and we will catch you after the break.
Biggest win, I think, with the dual path and having these two models is that now we become a brokerage for everyone. No matter where you are in your real estate career or what your goals are today, maybe today you're not interested in recruiting or having a team, but then one day you wake up and you are. Well, if you're at the wrong brokerage to do that, you're locked in. Where in our model, we're not holding anyone hostage. We're not tying anyone in. You can move between the different comp plans and have that success and really achieve whatever your definition of success is under one brokerage platform, being LPT.
Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your host, Miss Betsy Tinervin with LPT Realty and the Tampa Bay Investments team. We are so thankful and honored that once again, LPT brings it back and Robert Palmer sponsors this show to bring you the life, business, real estate, raw and real stories from not only our thriving LPT agents, but members of our community. I am honored to have Lori Kane and Amina Stevens in the studio today. These are my Midwest ladies. And if you know anything about Midwest people, we are strong, we are blunt, but we are extremely loyal. And I don't care if you've lived in the Midwest for 5 minutes or 5 years or half of your life, but we come hard in the paint, man. So what's crazy is you have Lori Kane, who had a previous career over 20 years with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. You have Amina Stevens, who is this teacher and educator with teenagers. So if you can imagine having gray hairs before you're 50, she covers those up real well. So these two ladies are just awesome, amazing humans, but they're really thriving in their careers. Laura, I want to turn it to you. In the beginning, you talked about how you came out of like the sheriff's department, you got into real estate, but you really got into real estate because you were yourself an investor. So kind of explain what you did with your portfolio, maybe how you bought that first deal, and why investments.
Well, investments were something where, again, I could help somebody by being able to rent out property at reasonable rates. I don't agree with that. Let's go for the top amount. When you rent, I'd rather have a strong renter where I'm not having to change them out all the time. And I got into the investments because I also wanted to be working on some houses. So when I started buying them, I was buying houses that needed a little bit of work. Some needed a whole lot of work. And I had a team. We would go in, we'd work on them. I learned a lot of things just working with the different people, how to do different stuff, how to do some tiling, how to lay flooring, how to paint the right way. And through working through various houses, I also started talking to more investors and getting more involved with it. I love working with the investor who can go into a house and isn't looking for it to be all foo-foo and move-in ready. They want it in the raw. They want it where they can go in and make it what they want to be able to either resell it or to rent it out themselves.
How did you buy your first property? Did you use your own money? Did you use someone else's money?
I actually did use my own money. When I retired, I took my money out of the Florida state system and put it into self-directed IRA.
I love it how you said the Florida state system. Is that like a Hillsborough County Sheriff retirement thing, or explain that?
No, it's actually state of Florida. Various agencies throughout the state have their retirement go through the state of Florida retirement system. And through there, you have a couple options of even being able to take a pension monthly, give yourself a paycheck every month, or being able to do it as an investment. And I did it as investment money. So I was able to take the lump sum and put it into the self-directed IRA where I could use the money to do a variety of different things, from purchasing properties to being able to purchase deeds and things like that.
That's awesome. I think it's crazy that a lot of people don't know, in my opinion, real estate is the sexiest asset in America. Real estate is not a Bitcoin situation where you're going to hit some easy button and make 50 grand. However, it is, when you look at risk versus rate of return, a more secure situation, and it's a long-term play. Right?
Exactly.
Investing in real estate is a long-term game. It is kind of playing chess. And it's one of those things that I think really people can thrive and they don't even know their resources. People can take a HELOC loan on a house that they own. They can take a second mortgage. They can do things like using their 401k and IRA accounts. So I think it's really awesome, Lori, that you kind of walked through that process and that you've done it yourself. Miss Amina, I think something that is just interesting that I want to roll back to you that I was thinking of while kind of Lori was talking was, it's crazy to me, you've worked with a lot of these teenagers and high school people. It's crazy to me how we don't teach financial literacy at all.
Right.
And I think I don't know how you feel about it, but when DeSantis passed that bill recently that they have to take that financial class in school, I was kind of like, yes, because I think honestly, we could cut out even like cooking class and gym class and teach people about I don't know, how to balance a checkbook or balance a checking account. I mean, obviously don't have real books anymore, but using a mobile app, how to save money and what to do with it. So since you have really worked with all the millennial people, and now you're selling real estate, where do you think that gap lies in the world today about teaching them what they can really do with their money?
Wow, I definitely want to acknowledge that there is a gap, and it's really crazy because if you looked at the cap of my graduating college, it said teach to close the gap. That's what that was my mission. There's so many gaps in regards to knowledge, information, wealth. I felt like it was my responsibility to do what I could to kind of fill the gaps that I see present within my community, within the education system and beyond. So honestly, that's how I left education. Is I kind of felt like, we all have our opinions about the system and there's some pros and cons, but I felt like I may be interested in some other career fields, but I come from a family of educators and I felt very
compelled.
Yeah, compelled to kind of stay within education. And I felt like I was making an impact because I was young and a lot of the students could relate to me. But I realized that I kind of felt like I was inspiring my students to follow their dreams and I wasn't following my own. I was obsessed with HGTV, and at the time I didn't realize that meant I really liked real estate. But when I pondered on it more, I realized if I had more resources and more knowledge, I could then share that with the world.
So, what do you think the gap is with the financial literacy piece?
I think the gap is really just that we're not, educating much on it in schools. It's not in the curriculum. And then also, wealth and knowledge and intellectual capital, as it's called, is typically generational. So if you're the first person in your family to go to college, I'm one of the first people in my family. I think I am the first person to own a business. You don't have that access and that proximity to people that have done it before, have that knowledge, and then can share that information and any resources needed to help you. So I think again, that's what inspired me to kind of take this leap and jump into real estate, because I realized I can gather all this knowledge and then give back and really bring myself into the industry, not just try to change who I am. Like, who I am is somebody that's going to soak up this knowledge, do the best I can for my clients, and then do the best I can to share the info. And if you didn't know, I don't even know if you know this, Betsy, but we have someone that's here with me kind of listening in, and he's actually a high school senior. So he's shadowing me the entire day today, because I do what I can to.
And what's his name?
His name is Jordan.
I'm going to give a shout out to Jordan in the studio today. He is a high school senior, and he is actually shadowing Amina, which, again, this just kind of shows like who these people are and what they try to do. I think that's really great. And I think I want to circle back to just like one of the comments that you made that is pretty phenomenal to me is you talk about all this all the time. Like, the American dream really makes you broke. Get a job, live paycheck to paycheck, and then there is no education there, right? And I also think it's like not fair to parents or teachers, because just like you said, if someone comes from the world where you go to high school, you graduate, maybe you go to college or you don't, you learn a trade, you get a job, you make your money, you pay your bills, and that's what it is. There is no long-term game. There is no long-term plan. And I think that you should be proud of yourself for wanting to educate. I think you should be super proud of yourself for wanting to mentor. People always say to me, like, how many people do you have living with you? And my kids are grown now, but I always have an extra kid. I have an extra kid, then they have a girlfriend. If you have the boys, then the girl, they just come. So I love that. And I think there's so much stuff we can clapper on too outside of the show. Lori, what I think is great, even like seeing you in the class that we were taking, is just how passionate you are about like what you do and wanting to help people. So why is this your passion?
I'm not sure why it's my passion, but it has definitely become that, kind of an adrenaline junkie. And I find going and looking for the house a challenge. I find finding that house and getting through all the inspections and the mortgage and everything else a challenge. Even though each one of those steps is not necessarily my job, it's still getting that buyer or that seller through that process and getting us to that end game where it's an emotional high that you can get every single time that you help somebody with getting in or out of their house. And I thrive on that.
Well, if someone wants to become your next challenge, how do they contact you?
You can contact me at my phone number. It's 813-695-7766.
If someone wants to contact you, Amina, or your new little mentee, Mr. Jordan, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can follow me at Homes by Amina on all platforms, and I'll connect them with Jordan. And my phone number is 813-401-0460.
We are so glad that you are with us today, and you should be excited to know that we still have one segment remaining, which we are going to bring you more information from Miss Lori Kane, Amina Stevens, two thriving LPT agents that are both from the Midwest. One comes from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. The other one was a teacher and an educator and is still doing that today. You're not going to want to miss segment 4. More information on life, business, and of course, real estate. We are going to pay some bills, and I will catch you after the break. Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. And if you have been with me, your host, Betsy Tinervin, all this whole hour, then you just pretty much should write Lori Kane and Amina Stevens a check, because they have dropped super gems, super nuggets, and we're so honored to have these two LPT agents here. Every show, it's a good vibe, it's a good time, but there are just some people that get together and collaborate together, and they just align in so many different ways. So for me in business, it's not just about business, it's about personal, emotional, spiritual connections. And these two ladies just really serve people. They serve agents that they work with, they serve the Tampa Bay community. Amina has a mentee in here right now, Mr. Jordan, that is a high school senior, which I love. Everyone knows I love the kids. So I think it's just really great to have these two here. I think they've dropped a lot of gems and nuggets. So I want to make sure we utilize the final segment with them and allow them to really portray who they are, what they're about, and give you guys some nuggets, which you can really apply in all things business. So, Amina, I'm going to come back to you. And since we keep it raw and real, I told Amina that she needed to pull the mic close to her. And she said, do I really have to make out with it? And I said, actually, you do. And she said, well, I haven't made out in a long time. And what's funny to me about that is, you know, I want to kind of talk for a minute about successful female entrepreneurs in general, because I know that for me, it's really hard for me to date because like I don't have time for an emotional roller coaster. And we are really independent people. So like letting down that wall of vulnerability. So just talk to all my single ladies, since you're also known as Beyonce, talk to all my single lady entrepreneurs out there just in general, just about kind of what your struggles are and kind of why you're at this place and just any advice you want to give them.
Wow, where do I begin? I think it's nice to just have a good sense of who you are and what you value. I think a lot of times when you get into any kind of business, industry, or sector, people will try to tell you the kind of partner that you need to be with. You need to have someone that does this and makes this and is all that. And I know what I want. I know who I am. And I feel like, honestly, a lot of times the kind of rhetoric that surrounds this archetype of the single woman, businesswoman, you know, what we're kind of discussing, sometimes precedes me, right? So it's not necessarily who I am. Like, I'm down to earth and I want somebody that just can say, hey, you know what? I washed your car. You know, like I didn't say, hey, buy me a Birkin bag.
I love this.
I just said, like, hey, I washed your car. I'll be honest. You guys want to know something? Lean in close, okay? I am known to run out of gas, like on the side of the road. And then I roller skate. If you don't know this, so I'm like the skating realtor as well. I roller skate and I longboard. So then I'll like skate to like the nearest gas station with my gas can. And it's like, you know, if somebody was just there to fill up my gas can, you know, my gas tank, that would be extremely beneficial to my life. So I think that a lot of times it's just these ideas that people have about what you want, what you're looking for, if they're good enough for you, if, you know, it's a lot of craziness that
I think too that like it really does fit the profile, right? That opposites attract, because I tell people all the time, like I agree with you 100%. I don't care if you work at Shell gas station and you make $12 an hour and you're happy.
I don't know about that. No, I'm just kidding.
Man, shout out to all the Shell gas station workers. No,
as long as they're living in the alignment and in their purpose, that's what I want.
Yes.
Because two people that are in their alignment, like I'm in, it's not about that I'm in my bag. Some people say, oh, you're in your bag. No, I'm in my purpose. I'm walking in alignment with what my life's vision is, what my life's work is, and that makes me happy and that makes me fulfilled. So if you're working at Shell and you're happy and fulfilled, then okay, we might be able to tango. But if it's something where you're not happy, then let's work on getting you in a better situation, because that's when two people that are living in alignment and in purpose come together and make something magical.
Well, what I think too, like Lori, have you ever been to that store where you build a bear?
Yes.
You know, you stuff it and you put the heart in it. Like, I don't want to be in that business anymore. I am going to be 40 in March. And the last thing I want to do is be in the change business and the Build-A-Bear business. It's like what Amina said, you know your growth track. So if you haven't figured that out, like what your 5-year plan is, you don't have to be perfect. But correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, you got to know some type of roadmap, right?
Yeah, you definitely have to have a roadmap. You need to know those goals. You need to know where you're headed, short term, long term. If you don't stick to it and you start to veer off, you've got that down. You know how to get back to it and you can work on it. And sure, our goals change through life and you can adjust as you need to. You know, different things happen to us. Things happen with family. Things happen with jobs where we need to adjust things and change things. And you just keep moving forward, then you'll get there.
I think that it's just important as females as well. I'm not somebody that hypes up women. I feel like we do have a lot of opportunities. I definitely have a lot of respect for like all the male entrepreneurs out there as well. But I love the factor that both of you guys are really strong in like who you are. And a lot of times on radio that comes out, because when you're asked a question, I tell people how you really succeed in the real estate industry is being confident. When you're confident about what you say, it's not a right or wrong answer. So I definitely want to throw it back to you, Miss Amina. It's like throw and catch game. I just really want you to give people kind of like your final thoughts today. Like if there's something you could say to someone listening that wants to know anything about life, business, and real estate, what is a really good piece of advice you can give them for just going into 2023?
Wow. I mean, I think 2023 is a year of really getting clear on who you are and or who you want to be, because I feel like that's where everything starts. Some people will tell you, oh, massive action and do all that. And I think for me personally, it's all about implementation and scale this year. But it starts with knowing who I am. Like when I started working with first-time home buyers, a lot of them, and I've now done a variety of different types of clients, and I kind of excel at them all, wink, wink. But when I first started, people wanted me to say, hey, you don't want to sell these $3 million houses and $2 million houses. And I just didn't want that to be my brand. That's not who I was.
You're a chameleon.
Right? So I wasn't, exactly. There's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but I think that if you let it, this world will tell you who you are. But when you realize who you are, who you want to be, you can then live your life by design. So when I came into real estate, it's not an accident. The opportunities that have come my way, the agents that I've attracted, the clients that I've helped, because it's exactly in alignment with who I am. And I think that precedes any kind of action or implementation. It's getting clear on who you are, not what anybody tells you who you want to be, and just feeling good about that. So I would say really get some self-discovery. It's important.
I think that one of the biggest things too, people get confused is passion and purpose versus what your gift is. Like if I said to someone tomorrow, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, I'd hope they go, Betsy, we really love you, but that's not your gift. One, I wouldn't run if there was a fire. So all those people that like the women that put on the sports bras and the pants, like, dude, I go to boxing class. I like to relieve stress. Exactly. Like I'm not a runner. So I think like when you find your gift and what you're good at, you just thrive, because some people are capable and have strengths and weaknesses. So I love what you said about going into 2023. I hope everybody writes Amina Stevens' advice down in their notebook. And Lori, I'm going to turn to you. Final thoughts for all of our listeners out there. Give them some advice on life, business, and of course, real estate for 2023.
Really, you just need to find that passion. You need to find that goal, and you need to go for it. It might be something that everybody else tells you, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. But you need to know what's inside of you, what you can give forward to get there. And in going into real estate, that was one of my best decisions ever. It's really been a passion of mine. I love buildings. I love houses. I love being able to get inside, get my hands dirty, and work on a house. And maybe you don't want to get dirty working on them, but you can get dirty cleaning your own house now.
I love that.
Yeah.
I can definitely tell both of you that this show has been fun for me, exciting for me. You both have to come back. Is that an agreement before you leave here?
Sure.
Okay, fabulous.
As long as you get an iPhone first.
I have one.
Like you like convert.
Oh, convert fully?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to meet for coffee about that. I'll buy the coffee.
All right.
If anyone wants to contact you, Miss Lori, could you give them your contact information, please?
Yes, my phone number, it's 813-695-7766, or you can reach me at my website, timeyoumove.today.
And Miss Amina, if anyone wants to reach out to your amazing mentee, Jordan, or find you, could you give him your number?
Yes. So my number is 813-401-0460. And I am Homes by Amina on all platforms. And Jordan, shameless plug, is Jordan VV _.
I love that. I really love that you're just supporting him, and definitely let him get plugged in with just what this is like and what it's about. And again, doing exactly what you said. I wrote it down, teach to close the gap. So I think that's really important, and you should be really proud of yourself for that. Lori, making that big like career shift from the sheriff's department and just serving into real estate, like, it's amazing. I know that tech for each generation is different, and just how you're embracing it and allowing yourself to be really in 2023, you should commend yourself, because I know just like me going from Android to iPhone, it's a change.
Yeah, it is.
So I know the industry is definitely a change. I've loved having both of these amazing ladies here. We want to give a shout out to LPT Realty for making this all possible. If you are interested in being on the show, you're a Tampa Bay community member, you can reach out to me at 813-609-0229. We would love to have you and highlight you. If you're interested in LPT Realty or buying, selling, or investing, please reach out to Miss Lori Kane or Amina Stevens. They are both here to serve our Tampa Bay community as far as real estate is concerned. We appreciate all of our loyal listeners, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast, powered by LPT Realty, Real Estate Reimagined. We hope this episode motivated and inspired you. And don't forget to rate and review us. Thanks again for listening. to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast with Betsy Tinervin.